Please put your hands together to welcome Sean, the director, and Steve, the protagonist, for a Q&A.
Is that me?
We're good. So thank you both for the film. We've got time for a Q&A, and Sarah and I will begin asking questions, but this is really a film about the value of culture for everyone, and we'd love you to be involved giving questions from the audience. So after we've asked a couple questions, there are microphones on the right and the left down here, and you just need to walk up to the mic to ask a question. Sean, I will begin with you once you've got a glass of water. Your films are really what I consider not portraits, they're relationships. They're journeys that we can go on, and they're never chasing a headline. How did you find Steve, and how did you really come to think that there was a story there?
And the quick answer is that I met him because of the opening of the City of Culture, because he'd heard about me and I'd heard about him. The long answer is that 4 years before that, I'd started looking for a film supported by the great Joseph Rowntree Foundation, who are here tonight, who supported this film and have backed me on this journey from the very, very start, and had the patience to actually go with the real journey of how long these things really take. So I'd been hanging out in Hull, getting distracted from the film by doing the opening show and other things, and going off to war zones occasionally, coming back to the biggest war zone in Hull. And character is king. So I was sort of looking what was going on in Hull, what was the story, but you can't. You have to believe in the ingredients of the person you're with and really sit with it. I never knew what was going to happen to Steve, and of course I was looking for a happy ending, and to some extent I think it is a happy ending. But the realities of the fragility in which people live today, people that are earning £18,000 to £20,000 a year can still find themselves falling through the net, is something that isn't really spoken about. And so anyway, and also because of Channel 5 kind of nasty benefits Britain hatred of the poor, I think that the rebalancing of understanding the dignity of the working class and the dignity of hard-working people that represent the North and that have only ever represented the Hull that I've known. But the Hull that I've always met in the South has been this joke that's been manufactured by the media. So it's a rebalancing in a sense. This guy is the normal, really. Mm.
So on that note, I was interested in when you agreed to film, Steve, when you agreed to film with Sean, did you feel as though you were going to be telling your story, or did you feel like you were going to be telling a story of Hull? And now that you've seen the film for the first time, I believe, tonight, how do you feel about it now, and where do those two things cross over for you?
I think the film was a lot sadder than I expected it to be. I don't know. It's sad, isn't it? The reason why I did the film is I wanted to show...
Huh? Why is it sad?
Well, it made me cry.
That makes you cry.
The reason I made the film was because I wanted to show what the Beats Bus was doing and what the team I put together, all my guys are down there, Dave, Nigel, Fasty, Laxman, SR2. And I just wanted to show what we was capable of and how we could help young people, because I'd been doing workshops quite a lot, but there was in the town centre with young people at the Warren who was like young people who were struggling and stuff. So I knew how they could help young people. But I just wanted it to be our thing, You know, I didn't want to be doing workshops for someone else. I wanted to do our thing, and I wanted to show Hull what we could do and how we could change young people's lives, and that's what we did.
And Sean, I mean, your position as creative director, you were appointed as creative director of the opening of the Year of Culture, but simultaneously making this film with Steve. Did you feel a bit of a kind of friction or a contradiction in those two ideas of culture, one being kind of implemented on a city with a lot of funding behind it, and the other which is much more of a grassroots thing that is, it exists there, and it needs to be nurtured?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that a lot of people feel in Hull. Even the most cynical people are grateful for City of Culture because even the city, the city centre got repaved. It wouldn't have, for the smallest things and the biggest things. Some people really love it for, but so I got given that job, and that job put me in a very awkward position. I think, in a way, I was on that side of the fence. I think for that year, and with the film, I wanted to go to the other side of the fence and really look at what it means for the Hull that I came from, and the Hull that I knew all the time was grassroots community action. Without grassroots community action in cities across the UK, there is no political change, there is no social change. And all of these statistics were being branded about the success of City of Culture, but there was a niggling thing inside of me that was, I suppose I just wanted to understand how people can really engage in culture, and I think it's just a really interesting way to look at austerity and poverty through the realms of culture, and I guess how we take it for granted.
And culture is a big word. Did it change your own kind of idea of what the value was? Not just within Hull, but generally culture that is offered to a broad public.
Did it change my opinion?
Your own opinion of what the value of culture was within society.
I think it just reaffirmed from Steve and other people like Steve. It reaffirmed what people have to just do, which is the self-belief and the self-drive but that there's only so far. With funding cuts becoming more and more brutal, it's becoming more and more difficult for cities. And I think what was illustrated in small aspects with those kids is just what little needs to be given to kids to open up a corridor of hope that otherwise isn't there. It's not all about league tables and statistics and school reports and...
And you mentioned your kind of parents' generation within the film had a lot more job security. There was a different idea of working culture, of the archetype of the working class that was kind of organized, unionized, and had rights in a sense. Do you think your storytelling and this film in particular has a role to play in kind of changing perceptions of that, really updating what it means to be a worker today, what it means to be a precarious worker in a sense without those rights of your parents' generation?
I think so. I mean, I think that people have fallen through the net. And I mean, working people have fallen through the net. We could have gone more heavily into the food banks and the homeless that we take for granted as a day-to-day existence. That was never in existence in Hull. It was always something you'd see in London. But now it's a regular thing you see in Hull, and it's here to stay. That there isn't, my dad's generation was at the proms. Steve's generation isn't. What's happened? There's all of these jobs, but no one can live on these jobs without taking payday loans and without taking all sorts of loans that are thrown at you in order to survive in a job. It's not working. And Brexit was a part of a response to why it's not working, I guess.
So to bring it back to Steve, just on that note of Brexit, obviously City of Culture was the year straight after Brexit. So there's obviously some sort of volatility and sort of instability, and kind of this idea of hope keeps coming up. Where do we sit now in 2018 after City of Culture and hope? in terms of feeling a hopefulness for the future. How do you feel about that and the legacy of the City of Culture for you, Steve?
This year, after City of Culture, I've took the biggest step of my life, the biggest chance of my life that I've ever took. I've always worked hard, and I've always had stability. So what you never saw in the film was 2 weeks ago, I left my job for 10 years. I walked out my job of 10 years to be the managing director of Beats Bus Limited. To try, do you know what? I want to give, what we do, I want to be able to give it to our community for free. I want to be able to give it to our kids for free. I don't want to charge the families. That was the whole reason we started this, to give kids who've got nothing to do on the street, who can't afford to do anything, something to do and something to believe in. So I'm going to work my ass off as much as I can to get funding, whatever, to be able to supply Hull. And even outside of Hull, you know, we'd love to come work in Sheffield, definitely. You see how I did that, yeah? You see how I did that? Yeah, so I'm now 100% Beats Bus. We've got some work coming up with Lucy Beaumont from Hull, the actor. We've got some work coming up in Bridlington. So we are starting to get bits and bobs of work in. So for the last week, I've never worked so hard in my life since leaving my actual job, so... But yeah,
he's too proud to actually say he's got 37 quid in the bank currently, and he's got a GoFund campaign going for the Beats Bus. So if anybody's feeling generous and interested in supporting the Beats Bus after this show, they can as well, can't they?
Thank you, Sean. I forgot what the question was now.
Well, I think it's clear that you're embracing hopefulness.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, I'm very hopeful that the Beats Bus will continue for many years and help a lot of young people that need help. And that's what we want to do.
Great, thank you. And on that note, we're going to open up to the audience. So if you've got a question, you just need to be led to the microphones. Any questions? There's a question over here on the left. If you just step up to the microphone here in the aisle. Oh, sorry, there's one here.
Steve, could you tell me when the film goes out on the BBC, what do you hope will be the kind of impression that people around the UK will have about Hull and about what you're doing? Because as you mentioned, you know, things are quite fragile in the UK at the moment. There's a lot of negative images of Northern England, and especially after Brexit and so on. I'd love to know what you hope will be achieved by the screening of the film.
I hope people will see unity in it. You know, there's a lot of unity in the film. We like our mentality in Hull. You know, we don't care what race, creed, colour, where you come from. If you're friendly and you're nice, then come to Hull and stay there forever. We don't care. So. You know, I want people to look at the film and think, do you know what? Music is important in kids' life, and if we can give them something to believe in that they haven't got to believe in, that's the important message in it. If these kids believe that they can be something, even if at the end of it all they don't become anything, they'll have gone on that journey, they've got that self-belief. So to give them that self-belief, that's important. I mean, I think the film is really sad, and I feel quite sad about that as well. But the most important thing, the most important message that people can take out of it is we have got to give the next generation, the younger generation, something to believe in, because otherwise they're going to end up doing crime, they're going to end up knifing each other, they're going to end up in a bad way. So let's give them something to believe in, and let's strengthen the next generation for the future.
There's another question on the right here.
Hello, I loved your film. I thought it was amazing, and Steve, I think you're amazing too, and I hope you I hope all your hard work pays off. It's
Thank
long
you.
overdue. I'm making a film right now with some rappers from quite rough areas of Glasgow, with Drumchapel and Clydebank. And I've kind of found for the past 6 months that I've not really just been making a film. I've kind of like been, running them to college and lending them money and trying to create opportunities for them where I can, like doing their CVs and stuff like that. And finding that, I suppose, despite all my best efforts, that they're still kind of struggling a lot to make money and to get out of trouble and not be in trouble with the police. So I suppose my question to Sean is, how do you sleep at night when you make films about difficult situations? And my question to Steve is, what do you expect from the filmmaker? Do you want them to go above and beyond for you and, I suppose, improve a bad situation since they've come into, that situation?
I didn't expect anything from Sean, to be honest. We met and we said, let's do this thing. And we just did it. I didn't expect him to do anything for me. He used to ring me at the most awkwardest times, like, like, can I come and do some filming now? I'm like, no, Sean, it's 3:30 in the morning. I'm just going to sleep. Leave me alone. No, I mean, this guy has been super inspiring to me since I've met him. I never knew how big he was when I met him. I never knew how famous he was.
Up.
And
I said he can, whatever happens to him, I'm only 10% for the... Isn't a bad deal, is it?
10%.
Yeah, I'm called Mr. 10% now.
So no, I never expected anything from him, and I don't think he expected anything from me either, really. We just filmed what we was doing, and we just wanted it to be a positive message for people who watch it, to show that, you can work hard and you can achieve your dreams as well. But it's important to pass that hard work and experience on to the next generation. What's the point in just keeping hold of it yourself?
And in a way, do you think you'd have ever left Arco had it not been for the film?
No, never. Yeah, so it's your fault that I lost my job.
So City of Culture did work for you in a way. City of Culture, in a sense, did enable you to make that step.
Yeah, it enabled me.
Or the film and
Yeah.
City of Culture.
It enabled me to show what I wanted to do. It enabled me to bring my dream to life. I'd been working...
But actually, the truth was that Steve gave me a call and said, I can't go on the stage at Sheffield working for Arco.
I did, yeah.
And he said, I'm going to quit the job. Do you think there's much prospects of work after? And I said, listen, I'm no, fairy godmother. But, and he said, I just can't. So in a sense, it was this festival and the focus and the platform of the film. So, films, I think, change lives in a way that they should enable. For me, making films is finding people that are not just objects in the camera, that are participating in the process. And in a sense, Steve stepped into a space and used it positively to move forward, partly down to this moment, which is right now. He didn't want to come here as high-vis Steve. He wanted to come as no-vis Steve. There he is.
Well, I think we've got time for another question from the audience, the lady here on the left.
Yeah, hi. Can I sit down? I don't feel comfortable standing up. I think it's a beautiful film. I'm a little rattled because you might find it sad, but the director knows why he made it sad. I was very angry, actually. I've lived in this country for 30, 40 years, but I've left because of Brexit. I moved back to France. So I was really looking at a film that I thought would be Romania. And I am angry, and I hope the rest of the audience is angry, because I cannot accept the abject poverty, not only in Northern England, but that people accept this level of poverty. When I just came up from London, and I can't get through the street because of the Land Rovers and the Maseratis and the obscene wealth and money laundering from the Russians and whoever you get it, and all of the politicians who are having their meetings on oligarchs' yachts, and that's this government. So it made me angry and tearful, but it is a beautiful film. I kept expecting a happy ending.
Me too.
So I have to ask you a question. all the kids here, do they want to talk? Can they say where they are and how this helped them? I'd really like to hear from the kids. Are they
Well,
here?
well, we
they
might
here?
have a little surprise for you.
We could have a little surprise for everybody.
Please welcome Harvey and Blessing.
My man like Blessing. My man like Harvey.
Hi, boys. How are you, Blessing?
Look at all them people, man.
Hey guys, take
Come on, come on. Say hello. Have a seat.
Sit down, Blessing.
a seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, the stars of the show. Yeah. So do you want to do a little thing, yeah? Do you want to do a little rap thing? Yeah. Do you want to do
Blessing, you got to say something.
you want to do a little rap thing? Yeah.
Say it.
All right.
What do you want to say to the audience? Just
We didn't agree to do this earlier. We just had a quick rehearsal backstage. So me, Harvey, and Blessing are just going to do a little thing for you, so you can see how far they've come. So, Harvey, you going to go first, yeah? Ready?
I am free to go on holiday. When I get there, it's nice to play. Inbound holiday, escape from school. I am cool when I'm by the pool. Birds flying over the air I breathe. I believe I can fly and leave. When I travel, I'm excited to go. When I sing it low.
School is hard, gives you pressure, but when you leave, you feel fresher. You start the day stiff as a bone. In your community, you're not alone. You live forever, set to the fullest. Be creative and don't stay honest. End of the day, you're free as a bird. Your life is sweet as lemon curd.
Blessing and Harvey. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Liz McIntyre, the director of the festival, to say a few final words.
Thank you very much, Harvey. Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone here, to Sean, to Steve, to Harvey, to Blessing, Sarah and Luke. Thank you for the questions as well. What an incredible film, what an incredible evening. It just leaves me to say that you've all been given an audience voting slip on the way in. Don't forget to vote and hand in your slips on the way out, because that will count towards the audience award at the end of the festival. And also to remind you that the screening of McQueen will happen in the Director Doc House showroom at 9:30 p.m, either with your festival pass or with a ticket, should you wish to attend. And if not, we have the after party for this wonderful A Northern Soul screening starting after this event, straight away downstairs in the same City Hall building. So very much hope to see you there, either if you are a festival pass holder or for a fiver if you'd like to come along. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing you all on the dance floor. Thank you, and see you anon.